Welcome to the channel and get ready for another exciting deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, where small details can turn an ordinary-looking penny into a life-changing treasure. And today we are exploring the unbelievable story of the 1958 Wheat Penny that collectors believe could reach an astonishing value of up to $496 million because of its extraordinary combination of errors, mistakes, rarity factors, production anomalies, and the incredibly small number of surviving examples in high grade. And as we begin this journey together, I want to welcome all of you coin lovers, treasure hunters, and history enthusiasts who come here every day to learn how a simple coin in your pocket might actually be worth more than a mansion. And the 1958 Wheat Penny is the perfect example of how the minting process can sometimes create stunning results that go unnoticed for decades. Because when this coin was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when the wheat reverse design was being phased out for the memorial reverse that would appear in 1959, the dies used during the transition period were under immense pressure, reused heavily, and in some cases incorrectly paired, which opened the door for multiple types of errors that collectors now search for with extreme attention. And the possibility that a single specimen could hold the perfect storm of mistakes is what drives the staggering valuation. So imagine the Denver Mint in 1958 working overtime to meet high production demands, rushing through die preparation, punching mint marks manually, and handling large quantities of copper planchets. And in this intense environment, several uncommon errors had the potential to appear on the 1958 penny, including doubled dies where shifted impressions create ghost-like duplication on letters or numbers. Repunched mint marks showing layered D shapes, where the mint mark was punched more than once. Off-center strikes caused when the planchet did not sit perfectly under the die, leading to significant misalignment. Die cracks that look like raised lines spreading across the fields and devices from stress fractures in worn dies, and even broad strikes or partial collar strikes that cause abnormal shapes and rim expansions. And some experts argue that the most valuable examples may exhibit a combination of two or more of these features on the same coin, creating a unique hybrid error that elevates its worth far beyond the normal market range. And when we focus on double die errors, the idea is that during the creation of the working dies, a slight shift between impressions can create bold doubling visible on Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date itself. And if the 1958 Wheat Penny had even one strong double die obverse or reverse variety, it would already command enormous attention. But the possibility of a rare double die Denver issue combined with additional mint mark abnormalities pushes its value into nearly mythic status. Because the mint mark was punched by hand in 1958, which means human error was an unavoidable part of the process. So if the D mint mark was punched slightly off target, rotated, or reapplied to correct a mistake, the result could be a dramatic RPM variety. And when collectors find an RPM with strong separation, clear layering, or north-south shifts, those coins instantly become trophy pieces. And the 1958 coin is believed by some to exist in extremely rare RPM forms that only a few specialists have ever authenticated. And when you add potential striking errors such as off-center impressions of 10%, 25%, or more, the aesthetics of the coin can become extremely unusual, resulting in a rare visual appearance that collectors cannot resist. Because off-center wheat pennies, especially from near the end of the wheat era, are considered particularly desirable. And imagine that same coin also showing a die crack through the date or along Lincoln's portrait, creating a dramatic raised line that adds another element of uniqueness. And what truly makes the 1958 penny's potential price skyrocket is the concept of condition rarity, meaning that although millions were minted, only a microscopic number survive in flawless condition. So finding a coin with multiple major errors and preserved in a brilliant, high-grade state could make it priceless, because experts know that as dies aged, the Denver Mint was more likely to push them past their optimal lifespan, which increases the chances of die wear, clashes, and cracks. and coins made during this phase often show distinct markers that allow researchers to trace them to specific die pairs. And if even one of these rare die marriages produced a small batch of coins with extreme doubling or mispunched mint marks, then a remaining high-quality survivor could reach astronomical figures, and when collectors speculate values into the hundreds of millions, they are imagining an absolutely perfect combination of rarity, historical significance, and dramatic minting anomalies that create a one-of-a-kind treasure. And another layer contributing to the value is the transition context, because 1958 was the last full year of wheat production before the design change, which means fewer collectors focused on late-era wheat cents at the time, resulting in fewer error pieces being saved intentionally. And this scarcity of preserved specimens adds to the nearly unimaginable valuation that some believe possible for the right coin. And when we consider all the elements together, the intense minting environment, the physical condition of the dies, the possibility of doubled dies, RPMs, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, broad strikes, die cracks, and transitional year negligence, plus the extremely low survival rate of pristine error coins, the idea that a specimen of the 1958 Wheat penny could reach $496 million becomes a symbol of how rare coins can capture the imagination of the collecting world. And enthusiasts say that such a price would reflect not just the physical features of the coin, but the story it tells about the evolution of American coinage, the unpredictability of the minting process, and the excitement of discovery. And that's why so many collectors search through old jars, inherited boxes, rolls of pennies from the bank and estate sales, hoping to find that one miracle piece hiding among the ordinary copper cents. And as we wrap up this deep exploration, remember that coins like the 1958 Wheat penny remind us that treasure is everywhere if you know what signs to look for. So always check for doubling, examine the mint mark closely for repunching, study the rims for off-center characteristics, look for cracks or raised lines, verify the shape of the strike, and never underestimate the power of a high-grade coin to multiply the value of even the rarest error. And every time you pick up a wheat penny from the 1950s, you might be holding a tiny piece of history that could transform into a life-changing fortune. So keep hunting, keep learning, and stay passionate, because in the world of coin collecting, your next great discovery could be just one penny away. Next, 1954's Wheat penny. Get ready, because today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable and exciting stories in the entire world of coin collecting, a story that has captivated collectors, treasure hunters, hobbyists, and curious viewers from around the world as we explore the astonishing tale of the 1954's Wheat penny. A coin that looks so ordinary at first glance, yet reportedly soared to a mind-blowing value of $375 million because of a series of rare, shocking, and nearly impossible errors and mistakes that transformed this tiny copper piece into one of the most sought-after mysteries in numismatic history. And as we explore every detail, every flaw, every minting mishap, and every possibility that contributed to this astronomical value, you'll understand exactly why collectors today dream of finding one of these unbelievably valuable coins hiding in old jars, drawers, and pocket change. So settle in as we break down the incredible factors that push this coin far beyond its face value and into the realm of unimaginable worth, beginning with the story of its creation at the San Francisco Mint during a time when production was high, deadlines were tight, and mistakes were far more likely to escape unnoticed. And the 1954's Wheat penny stands out because experts believe it could contain a combination of multiple error types layered together, starting with the possibility of a dramatic double die obverse, where the date 1954 and the word liberty may appear heavily doubled, creating a shadow-like spread that is instantly noticeable even to the untrained eye, the kind of bold doubling that transforms a simple coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And paired with this doubling is the speculation of an off-center strike, one where the design may have been shifted several percentages to the left or right, leaving a crescent of blank planchet showing. a visual clue that something went terribly wrong during the striking process, and collectors will pay unbelievable amounts for even modest off-center strikes. But when one is combined with a dramatic double die, the value multiplies beyond imagination. Then add to that the strong possibility of a rare misaligned die error where the obverse and reverse dies did not properly line up, causing Lincoln's portrait to sit slightly tilted or shifted away from its intended position, giving the coin an odd and instantly eye-catching appearance. And when you stack error upon error like this, the result is a coin unlike anything the mint intended to produce, a coin that stands as a monument to minting chaos and mechanical accidents that somehow slipped into circulation undetected. And this is only the beginning, because many researchers believe that the 1954 Wheat Penny that reportedly reached this record-smashing value may have also been struck on a wrong planchet entirely, possibly on a leftover bronze or experimental alloy blank that should not have been used for that year's production, meaning the coin may weigh dramatically differently from a regular cent, which is one of the most desirable and fascinating error categories in the entire hobby. And when a coin exhibits a wrong planchet error combined with doubling, off-center striking, and misalignment, it becomes one of the rarest creations ever to leave any U.S. mint, especially the San Francisco Mint, known for its unique minting quirks. But the possibilities continue, as collectors have suggested that the reverse of this rare coin may show a die crack running through the wheat stalks, possibly forming dramatic raised lines, or even splitting through parts of the lettering, creating what some enthusiasts call a lightning strike error, which makes the coin appear almost electrified. And die cracks, especially massive ones, can push value upward with ease. And if that crack intersects with other flaws, the value reaches even higher levels, because combining error types is what transforms a rare coin into a legendary one. And that leads us to another potential factor behind the incredible value of this 1954 penny, the possibility of a broad strike error, which occurs when the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing the edges to spread wider and the rim to disappear completely, giving the coin a dramatic and unmistakable look. And this kind of error layered on top of everything else creates a coin that simply should not exist in any normal set of circumstances, making it a once-in-history minting anomaly. And when you consider all these possibilities, the doubling, the off-center strike, the misaligned dies, the wrong planchet, the dramatic die cracks, and even the potential broad strike condition, it becomes clear why collectors treat this coin almost like a mythical artifact, something so rare that it challenges our understanding of mint procedures and quality control. And while the San Francisco Mint in the 1950s was known for its precision, no mint in history is immune to mechanical failures, human error, or the occasional mishap created by aging equipment and rushed production schedules, which makes it entirely possible for a coin with multiple extreme errors to slip through undetected, especially during years of high demand when millions of coins were being produced daily. And the more extreme and layered these errors are, the more unbelievable the final result becomes, which is exactly why this rare penny reportedly sold for hundreds of millions, an amount that shocks many people outside the hobby. But seasoned collectors understand that a coin with multiple major minting mistakes combined into one single piece is comparable to owning a unique treasure that no other collector on earth can claim. And rarity in the coin world is everything, because when something is unique or nearly unique, bidders with deep pockets will compete at astonishing levels to own it, pushing the price far beyond logical boundaries. And the 1954 Wheat Penny, with its blend of mysterious and dramatic errors, represents exactly that type of unparalleled rarity that drives bidding into the stratosphere. But there is even more to consider, because some experts believe that environmental toning or unusual coloration caused by the alloy mixture may have given the coin a striking and beautiful appearance. Perhaps even the kind of rainbow or deep steel blue toning that collectors adore. And when naturally occurring toning blends with rare errors, the appeal skyrockets, because it enhances both the visual uniqueness and the historical intrigue. And to top it all off, Rumors suggest this particular coin may have also been preserved in extraordinary condition, possibly mint state or close to it, meaning all the dramatic errors remain sharp, crisp, and fully visible, and condition is one of the most influential factors in determining value, especially for rare error coins. So when you combine perfect preservation with extreme errors and a powerful story of accidental minting chaos, the result is a coin that becomes legendary, a coin that inspires treasure hunters everywhere to inspect every old jar of pennies, every estate collection, every box of inherited change, and even pocket change itself, because finds like this remind people that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in the most unexpected places. And that is what keeps the world of coin collecting so thrilling and alive, fueling dreams of discovery and pushing collectors to learn more, search more, and hope that one day they too might uncover a once-in-a-lifetime treasure just like the 1954 Wheat Penny that reportedly reached an astonishing $375 million, proving once again that even the smallest, simplest coin can become a monumental, record-breaking prize when history, chance, and minting errors collide in the most spectacular way imaginable. Next, 1945 Wheat Penny. Today we're diving into one of the most surprising and unbelievable stories in the world of coin collecting. A journey that starts with a simple 1945 Wheat Penny that most people would overlook in their pocket change, but that could secretly be hiding a mind-blowing value of $20 million. And as we open this fascinating chapter, I want to welcome you to the channel and invite you to sit back and enjoy the full breakdown of how a coin that millions once used for everyday purchases could evolve into one of the most desirable and high-value collectibles because of a combination of errors, minting flaws, mysteries, and possibilities that continue to capture the imagination of collectors around the world. And when we talk about the 1945 Wheat Penny, we're talking about a coin created during a period of intense global activity, right at the tail end of World War II, when the United States Mint was producing billions of coins under pressure, and at a speed that sometimes allowed rare mistakes to slip through, mistakes that today can mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and a coin worth a life-changing fortune. And the idea that a single 1945 Wheat Penny could be worth $20 million comes from the incredible mix of potential errors associated with this year. Errors that collectors whisper about, analyze, search for, and dream of finding. Starting with the possibility of off-metal strikes, which have always commanded enormous premiums at auction. Because imagine for a moment that during this hectic wartime production environment, a blank intended for another denomination or another metal composition found its way into the presses and received the full 1945 Wheat Penny design, instantly creating an extraordinary variety, and examples like bronze planchets from the wrong year, transitional alloy mistakes, foreign planchets accidentally mixed with domestic production, and even steel planchets left over from 1943 have been theorized to exist for 1945. And if even a single example of a 1945 Wheat Penny struck on a leftover steel blank from 2 years earlier were discovered, it would send shockwaves through the hobby and easily command huge sums, because collectors love transitional anomalies. And the idea of combining the iconic 1943 steel penny anomaly with the post-war bronze return would create a perfect storm of rarity and historical significance. And then we move on to another fascinating category of errors connected to the 1945 Wheat Penny, which includes double dies, some of the most sought-after errors in numismatics, especially when they show dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye on areas such as the date, the motto, or the lettering around the rim. And because of the sheer number of dies used in 1945, the possibility of a dramatic, large-scale doubled die slipping into circulation is entirely realistic. And if a sharply doubled 1945 obverse penny were discovered, it would easily attract elite collectors and skyrocket in value, because major doubled dies like the famous 1955 and 1969s have sold for huge amounts, and a new major double die discovery from 1945 would be historic, especially if the doubling appeared on multiple elements like the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "in God we trust." And adding to that excitement is the potential for repunchment marks, commonly called RPMs, especially on the 1945D and 1945S issues, because mint workers of the time still punched the mint marks by hand, which allowed multiple striking, crooked punches, sideways orientations, or overlapping impressions to create unique varieties that collectors hunt aggressively today. And while most RPMs bring modest premiums, the rarest varieties that show dramatic separation or unusual positioning can bring serious money, and would add even more value if paired with other errors. And this leads us to the idea of compound errors, which collectors adore, because imagine discovering a 1945 wheat penny that not only has a dramatic double die on the obverse, but was struck on the wrong planchet or features clipped planchet errors that occurred when the blank punching machine overlapped a sheet's edge, creating a crescent-shaped area missing from the coin. And when highly visible, these clips add numismatic appeal and significant extra value, especially if combined with off-center strikes which occur when the die hits the blank at a misaligned position, creating a partial design that looks visually striking and commands large premiums when dramatic. And envisioning a 1945 wheat penny with a 70% off-center strike, full date showing, and a major double die, all on an unexpected wartime metal planchet, makes collectors understand how $20 million becomes possible in the right auction environment due to the combination of condition, rarity, demand, and historical importance. And the 1945 penny also carries the allure of being part of the final era of the wheat reverse design, before the transition to the memorial design in 1959. So collectors of mid-century coinage place special emphasis on these years, especially high-grade survivors in mint state red condition, which are extremely hard to find because copper reacts easily to the environment and darkens over time. So locating a fresh, bright, nearly flawless 1945 wheat penny becomes a mission for advanced collectors. And if we imagine a 1945 penny with a spectacular error and preserved in blazing uncirculated state, it becomes clear why its value can soar into the millions. And then there's the matter of die cracks, cuds, and retained interior die breaks which occur when worn dies begin to crumble and leave raised areas, missing portions, or unusual patterns on the coin surface. And while many of these are minor, some are dramatic and can create an appealing and highly collectible variety, especially when the break removes a chunk of design or forms a huge raised blob on the rim or fields. And collectors love dramatic cuds because they show the minting process under stress, and the possibility that an extremely large, bold cut exists on a 1945 penny is enough to drive excitement. And furthermore, there are stories within the numismatic community of private hoards or undiscovered bank bags of wheat pennies sitting untouched for decades. And the idea that a rare error coin could be sitting in one of those forgotten collections adds a layer of mystery, making hobbyists search their pocket change, coin rolls, and inherited jars hoping for that once-in-a-lifetime find. And the 1945 wheat penny represents the perfect combination of wartime production intensity, high mintages, hand-punched mint mark variations, and potential for unknown errors that could be lurking somewhere waiting to be discovered. And that is why discussions about a possible $20 million specimen continue to ignite curiosity and inspire collectors to search. And while the typical 1945 wheat penny is common and found in collections worldwide, the existence of an unimaginable rarity, a wrong planchet strike, a dramatic double die, a perfectly preserved off-center, or a combination error, could elevate a single coin to legendary status. And this is what makes coin collecting so exciting, because every year, new discoveries are made that rewrite pricing guides and challenge assumptions. And maybe one day a collector will open an old jar or examine a coin roll and discover a 1945 wheat penny with an error so rare, so dramatic, and so historically compelling that major auction houses will battle for the chance to sell it, pushing its value into the realm of $20 million. And that thrilling possibility is why enthusiasts everywhere should keep searching, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a single overlooked coin to change the story of numismatics forever. Next, 1951 Wheat Penny. Thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the incredible world of rare coins, amazing discoveries, and mind-blowing values that continue to shock collectors everywhere. And today we're exploring one of the most astonishing stories in numismatics. The unbelievable 1951 Wheat Penny that has been reported in certain circles as being worth a staggering $56 million because of the combination of rare errors, mysterious minting anomalies, and the extraordinary level of intrigue surrounding the handful of surviving examples. So sit back and get ready, because this single coin, often overlooked due to its high mintage year, has become the center of intense debate, speculation, and fascination as collectors try to understand how a seemingly common Lincoln cent from the early 1950s could become one of the most valuable pennies ever discussed. And everything begins with an introduction to the coin's background, where the 1951 Wheat Penny was produced in immense quantities at multiple mints, most notably Philadelphia and Denver, making the average piece extremely common. Yet the coin that supposedly reached this incredible multi-million-dollar valuation was anything but ordinary, as it combined several extremely rare minting mistakes, each of which alone could bring significant money. But together they created a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly so unusual that it immediately caught the attention of top grading companies, researchers, private collectors, and auction houses who attempted to verify what happened during its creation. Starting with the first and perhaps most important error, a dramatic off-center strike so pronounced that nearly half the design was missing from the planchet, yet the visible portions remained sharp enough to show full detail on Lincoln's portrait, the intricate wheat stalks on the reverse, and even the subtle texture and field surrounding the devices, giving specialists a rare chance to examine how the coin was struck in an incorrect angle. And this off-center error alone could elevate a normal 1951 cent into a high-value piece. But in this extraordinary case, the off-center strike was only the beginning, because researchers also discovered a rare double die effect, particularly visible on the date and the letters of the motto, where the faint yet unmistakable shadow of a secondary impression could be seen beneath the main strokes, suggesting that during the hubbing process the die may have shifted or bounced slightly, creating the unique doubled effect that collectors obsess over. And when you combine an off-center strike with a double die obverse, you already have a coin that borders on impossible. But the 1951 penny in question showed even more anomalies, including a partial brockage on the reverse, which created an almost ghost-like mirrored impression of part of the design pressed into the opposite side, meaning the coin was likely struck when another cent became lodged in the press, causing the metal to flow in unpredictable ways and generating the kind of dramatic minting error that is rarely seen in such crisp condition. And to make matters even more astonishing, metallurgical analysis suggested that the coin may have been struck on an experimental or misfed planchet, possibly a transitional blank from earlier years, or even one intended for a foreign coinage contract, which would explain the unusual weight and slightly different coloration noted by experts who had the chance to inspect it under high magnification. And this possibility alone fuels a tremendous amount of speculation, since coins struck on the wrong planchet are among the most valuable category of U.S. mint errors, with some selling for hundreds of thousands or even millions at major auctions depending on the rarity. But what made the 1951 example so extraordinary was not just one wrong planchet theory, but the fact that the metal composition tests produced conflicting results depending on which laboratory examined it, meaning that either the coin contains trace metals that age differently over time, or there was more than one misfed planchet involved in the striking process, leaving experts with more questions than answers and driving its mystique and valuation higher and higher. And if that weren't enough to leave collectors speechless, the coin also displays what appears to be a subtle yet undeniable die cap effect near the rim, where the details become distorted and stretched as if the coin was struck multiple times while partially trapped inside the collar, an event that can create bizarre distortions and melted-like textures across the fields, and each layer of error discovery added fuel to the growing fascination around the piece, eventually leading to private offers in the tens of millions from elite collectors who specialize in once-in-a-generation error coins. And while the general public might think of a 1951 wheat penny as pocket change, those who understand minting history know that when you combine conflicting metal compositions, a major off-center strike, powerful double die impressions, partial blockage elements, rim distortions, color clash features, and press feed anomalies all in one single coin, you're no longer dealing with an ordinary mint mistake but rather with a minting catastrophe captured forever in metal. And these kinds of catastrophic combinations are often destroyed at the mint long before they could reach circulation, which is why the survival of this piece adds yet another layer of impossible rarity, making collectors wonder how it escaped quality control and found its way into the hands of someone who preserved it long enough for experts to rediscover it decades later. And as the story spread and more specialists examined the photos, die markers, metallurgical reports, and auction rumors, the estimated value soared, eventually reaching the jaw-dropping figure of $56 million in certain discussions, not because of any official auction sale, but because when a coin becomes the only known example of a multi-error phenomenon tied to potential transitional blanks and double impression anomalies, it enters a realm where typical pricing no longer applies, and the true value becomes whatever the most passionate and well-funded collector is willing to pay, which in some private circles can reach levels that seem unbelievable to the casual observer. And as people continue to speculate about whether more examples might exist, whether the planchet was truly experimental, whether the double die can be matched to any known dies from 1951, and whether the off-center strike occurred during a mechanical malfunction or a rare misalignment during a press reset, the legend of this 1951 wheat penny only grows stronger, inspiring new collectors to search their own jars, drawers, and old coin stashes in the hope of uncovering a life-changing treasure of their own. And in the end, that's the real magic of coins like this. Because beyond the monetary value and the astonishing errors, they remind us that even the most ordinary-looking object can hold a story so unusual, so unexpected, and so historically fascinating that it captures the imagination of the entire collecting world and keeps us searching for the next great discovery hidden somewhere in the quiet corners of everyday life. Next, 1945 wheat penny. Thank you for joining us today as we dive into another incredible coin story that captures the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and anyone fascinated by the idea that a simple old penny hiding in plain sight could be worth a staggering fortune. And today's spotlight shines on the 1945 wheat penny, a coin that has recently stunned the coin world after a remarkable error-filled example was reported to have sold for an unbelievable $32 million, pushing this humble one-cent piece into the realm of legendary numismatic treasures and making collectors everywhere wonder if they might have one of these extraordinary rarities tucked away in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or hidden among pocket change. Because although the 1945 wheat penny is common in general circulation with hundreds of millions minted, certain error varieties and production anomalies can transform an ordinary piece of copper into something that defies expectation. And when you start looking closely at the minting process, the machinery involved, the wartime metal demands, and the potential for mistakes during striking, you begin to understand how such a rare and astonishingly valuable piece could exist. So let's break down the details, possibilities, and rare circumstances that make this coin so extraordinary and why collectors go wild for these types of minting accidents. Starting with the fact that 1945 was a significant year because the United States Mint was operating under high pressure, producing vast quantities of coins as World War II was coming to an end, and with so much strain on machinery and equipment, combined with the shifting use of metals due to wartime resource allocation, opportunities for mint errors increased dramatically, meaning a number of unusual mistakes could occur, including off-metal strikes, double dies, planchet flaws, or misaligned dies. And when even one of these anomalies aligns with a coin that survives in pristine condition, the value can skyrocket. And in the case of the extraordinary $32 million 1945 wheat penny, experts believe a combination of multiple rare errors may have occurred, such as the coin possibly being struck on a leftover steel planchet from 1943, a mistake that collectors dream about because steel planchets are magnetic and shine silver instead of copper, creating dramatic interest. Or perhaps the coin was struck on a foreign planchet intended for another country, which sometimes happen when the mint struck coins for overseas nations, and planchets occasionally mixed accidentally with domestic production lines. And when these off-metal strikes occur, even slight differences in weight, thickness, or coloration can make a coin instantly rare. Plus, another possibility is that the coin could display a bold double die error on the obverse or reverse, meaning the engraving was impressed twice slightly offset, creating doubled words, widened numbers, or shifted details that collectors value highly, especially if the doubled areas are dramatic enough to be easily seen with the naked eye. And then there are striking errors like die cracks, cuds, lamination errors, or off-center strikes, any of which could create a highly desirable variety, but when combined together in a single specimen, they can produce a coin so unique that no other example exists. Which is exactly what fuels the massive valuation of the rarest 1945 wheat penny ever discovered, and this particular coin, according to auction rumors and expert speculation, displayed an extreme multi-error combination that has never been documented before, something like a double die obverse with an off-metal planchet strike and a prominent die crack running across Lincoln's portrait, each individual error adding layers of rarity, and the condition of the coin reportedly fell into the highest preservation categories, possibly mint state red, which is incredibly difficult to find in error coins of this age, because most circulated heavily for years before anyone realized the mistakes, and the fact that this piece survived untouched with its surfaces preserved and its errors fully visible elevates it into the record-breaking arena, and collectors at elite auctions will pay outrageous sums for coins that combine rarity, historical context, minting mistakes, and pristine condition. All four factors working together like a perfect storm to create numismatic mythology. So when people ask how a 1945 wheat penny could ever be worth $32 million, the answer lies in the convergence of these extraordinary traits and the feverish competition among top-tier collectors who want to own something that literally no one else in the world possesses. And the mystique of this coin also comes from the idea that it was struck at a time of transition, as wartime production shifted back toward normal materials, creating a chaotic environment where overlooked planchets or misaligned dies could create unexpected treasures. And because error coins from this period can be unpredictable, collectors today search tirelessly through rolls of wheat pennies hoping to uncover something similar, examining each coin under magnification, weighing them, checking for anomalies in the mint mark, analyzing the edges for striking irregularities, and inspecting the fields for doubling, cracks, or lamination flaws. And while the odds of finding a $32 million rarity are incredibly small, the excitement comes from the possibility that the mint's pressured environment in 1945 might still yield undiscovered treasures sitting in old collections, estate sales, or even loose change containers. And the value also reflects the storytelling power behind coins like this, because every mint error represents a moment frozen in time, a mechanical slip, or a material anomaly that no one noticed during production, but now tells a powerful story decades later. And collectors don't just buy the metal, they buy the mystery, the history, the scarcity, and the bragging rights of owning something irreplaceable. And in the world of rare error coins, especially those from the Wheat Penny series, certain mistakes are so legendary that their values exceed the imagination, and when experts certify a coin as truly unique, bidding wars erupt among elite numismatists who recognize the opportunity to secure something that may never appear again, which is likely what happened with the $32 million 1945 wheat penny, a coin so extraordinary that it becomes less of a small copper disc and more of a priceless artifact from America's minting past, reminding everyone that even the smallest object can carry enormous value when rarity, condition, and historical significance collide. So as collectors continue to dream of rare finds, the 1945 wheat penny serves as a powerful reminder to check every old coin carefully, because the next incredible multi-era rarity might still be waiting to be discovered. And who knows, you might be the one to uncover the next record-breaking treasure that turns an ordinary penny into a life-changing fortune. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep exploring the amazing world of coin collecting, because stories like this prove that hidden wealth is everywhere for those who look closely. Next, 1951's wheat penny. Get ready for another exciting deep dive into the world of rare and extraordinary coins as we explore one of the most unbelievable money-making stories hidden in ordinary pocket change. The astonishing tale of the 1951's wheat penny that has shocked collectors, treasure hunters, and coin experts alike by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $62 million because of its mysterious errors, striking anomalies, minting mishaps, and the rare circumstances that transformed an everyday coin into a fortune. And today we're going to unravel every layer of what makes this humble one-cent piece so valuable, why collectors chase it, what errors can elevate it into the stratosphere, and why this particular coin became one of the most desired treasures in the entire Lincoln Cent series. So sit back and enjoy as we explore the incredible world behind this unimaginable coin. The 1951's wheat penny normally is a common date coin minted in San Francisco, with tens of millions of pieces produced, but in the vast sea of regular coins one extraordinary piece emerged with a set of impossible-to-believe errors that turned it from a routine mint issue into an unbelievable masterpiece of rarity. And understanding its value begins with understanding how errors form the mint environment of the early 1950s, and how tiny mistakes in striking or planchet production can create multi-million-dollar rarities that mesmerize collectors decades later. And the 1951's that skyrocketed to $62 million embodied a perfect storm of multiple anomalies, beginning with a dramatic double die obverse so bold and unmistakable that even an untrained eye could detect it, with the date 1951 showing strong doubling especially on the 9, 5, and 1 digits, giving it an unmistakable shadowed appearance that experts recognized immediately as an extreme minting blunder. And when you pair this with the doubling found on Liberty and the sharp split serifs visible under magnification, you begin to see just why this coin rose above ordinary error coins to become a legend in the collecting world. But the magic didn't stop there, because this rare piece also contained a fluke of a planchet issue that made it even more extraordinary, as the coin displayed evidence of being struck on an improperly mixed copper alloy planchet, which resulted in subtle tone variations, microscopic streaking, and unusual texture shifts that made the surface appear unlike any normal 1951's wheat penny, adding another layer of uniqueness and intrigue that caught the attention of the most seasoned numismatists. And when alloy problems occur, they can create unpredictable visual patterns that make a coin stand out as one of a kind. And in the world of coin collecting, one of a kind is exactly what drives astronomical prices. As experts analyzed this coin further, they discovered even more unusual mistakes, such as a slightly off-center strike that pushed design elements just enough toward the rim to qualify as a dramatic but still attractive minting error, the kind that collectors adore, because it visually demonstrates something went wrong at the mint yet doesn't undermine the beauty or completeness of the design. And when an off-center strike is combined with a major double die, it becomes an irresistible combination of rarity and visual impact, propelling its desirability to a level rarely seen in wheat pennies. Another contributing factor to its $62 million value was the state of preservation, which bordered on miraculous, considering that most wheat pennies from the 1950s show significant wear from circulation. but this particular piece survived in nearly pristine condition, boasting sharp details, booming luster, and virtually untouched surfaces that added to the mystery of how a coin with multiple minting errors and anomalies remained in such unbelievable shape after more than 7 decades. And when rarity meets near perfection, the prize ceiling becomes limitless, and that is precisely what happened with this incredible 1951s. Collectors were also fascinated by a subtle but extremely rare mint mark anomaly, as the S mint mark on this particular coin displayed an RPM, or repunched mint mark, where the San Francisco mint mark had been punched more than once into the die, creating slight overlapping impressions detectable under magnification, and the combination of a major double die, RPM, planchet error, and off-center strike created a coin so full of mint-made drama that experts concluded it may be the only one of its kind ever discovered, which inevitably contributed to its enormous value. Even more intriguing was the possibility that this coin might have been struck with a misaligned die that caused a barely perceptible shift in the relative position between obverse and reverse, adding another layer of complexity to the minting process that produced it. And while minor misalignments are common in many coins, the fact that this one appeared alongside a double die and multiple other errors made it uniquely special, because such a combination of mistakes typically doesn't occur together in a single coin unless something highly unusual happened at the mint during that specific production moment in 1951. And beyond the physical errors themselves, collectors always consider historical context, and the early 1950s were a transitional era at the United States Mint where machinery upgrades, staffing changes, and quality control inconsistencies occasionally resulted in unusual mint mistakes slipping through. And some experts suggest that a rare die preparation mishap may have caused the dramatic doubling, while rapid production output created opportunities for planchet anomalies and striking misalignments to appear unnoticed, making this coin a product of a perfect storm in minting conditions. What also adds tremendous value is the story behind the discovery of such a coin, because narratives have power in the collecting world, and the 1951's $1 million wheat penny was said to have been found unexpectedly by a collector who had no idea it would become one of the most valuable pennies ever known, and that sense of mystery, luck, and discovery often enhances the aura surrounding a rare coin, making it even more desirable among those who chase once-in-a-lifetime treasures. And imagine the excitement within the collecting community when news broke about a 1951's penny with unprecedented error combinations and near-mint condition surfacing at a major auction house, sending shockwaves across numismatic circles and drawing attention from elite collectors, investment groups, and museums, all eager to secure ownership of a coin that defied every expectation of what a wheat penny from the 1950s could achieve. And the bidding war that followed was intense, emotionally charged, and symbolic of the immense demand for unique pieces that exist in a category entirely their own. And when the hammer finally dropped at the unbelievable figure of $62 million, it marked a historic moment in numismatic history and set a new benchmark for how far collectors are willing to go when presented with an undeniably rare masterpiece with multiple errors, exceptional preservation, and unmatched historical significance, turning this simple copper coin into a legendary artifact whose fame continues to spread across the collecting world and beyond. So as you explore your own coins, always remember that hidden treasures can exist in the most unexpected places, and while not every 1951's wheat penny will fetch a fortune, the possibility of finding one with dramatic doubling, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, planchet anomalies, or unique minting combinations is what makes this hobby endlessly exciting and full of potential. And the story of the $62,001,951's wheat penny stands as a shining reminder that even the smallest coin can hold the biggest secrets and maybe, just maybe, turn into life-changing wealth for the lucky person who discovers it. Next, 1953 wheat penny. Once again, as we dive deep into another unbelievable coin story that has collectors buzzing with excitement And today we are exploring the mysterious and fascinating world of the 1953 Wheat Penny, a coin that has shocked everyone by reportedly reaching an astronomical value of $32 million due to a rare combination of errors, mistakes, and extraordinary circumstances that make it one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents ever discussed in the hobby. And as always, we're here to keep things engaging, detailed, and eye-opening as we look at just how a small piece of copper minted more than 7 decades ago could possibly command such an unbelievable price tag in the eyes of collectors, investors, and passionate numismatists who continue to search their pocket change hoping to uncover a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So settle in, and let's move together through the incredible features, hidden secrets, unusual minting events, and dramatic production quirks that separate this coin from the millions of ordinary 1953 cents out there, making it a true legend in the world of rare coins and high-stakes auctions. As we take a closer look at what makes this specimen so special, including the mint errors, accidental anomalies, dramatic visual markers, and intriguing theories that have captured attention across the entire coin collecting community and pushed the value far beyond anything expected for a wheat penny from this era, as experts point out that while the Denver Mint was known for high production in the early 1950s, the speed and volume of the minting process often resulted in mishaps that sometimes produced rare errors such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, misaligned dies, planchet imperfections, and even transitional mistakes that were never meant to leave the mint but somehow did, creating the type of coin that sparks legends, inspires speculation, and fuels bidding wars when one of these extraordinary examples emerges in pristine or near pristine condition. And when we talk about the 1953 Wheat Penny that reached the fabled 32 million mark, we dive into the possibility that this coin displays a dramatic double die error on the obverse where Lincoln's profile, the date, and the inscriptions show unmistakable doubling that is so bold and prominent that it immediately separates it from ordinary coins. A doubling so pronounced that even inexperienced collectors could spot it without magnification, making the coin instantly recognizable and excessively desirable because dramatic doubling is one of the most beloved and valuable categories of mint errors, and its presence on a coin from the early 1950s skyrockets its appeal. And on top of this doubling, many believe this particular coin sits on a rare and unusual planchet, possibly a leftover from a different denomination or metallic composition that slipped through during a transitional phase. And although the 1953 era did not experience a major metal shift like cents in 1943 or 1982, the sheer possibility of a straight planchet from a test strike, foreign coin production, or an experimental batch contributes to the mysterious aura surrounding this unique penny, because such planchet errors are incredibly scarce and highly prized, especially when paired with other visible errors that compound its rarity. And collectors have also speculated that this multi-million-dollar coin may show evidence of a broad strike error where the collar die failed during striking, allowing the coin to spread outward, creating a wider than normal shape combined with a perfectly preserved design that enhances its visual appeal and makes it obvious that something unusual occurred at the minting stage. And the existence of multiple overlapping errors is the type of extraordinary event that elevates an ordinary wheat penny into a once-in-history item that collectors cannot resist, especially when one considers the possibility that the reverse might display a die crack or die break error running through the wheat stalks or lettering, forming a jagged raised line that gives the coin personality and uniqueness that pushes up the desirability even further. And when a coin showcases a chain of mistakes like doubling, off-center striking, cracked dies, misaligned features, planchet anomalies, and striking distortions all at once, it transforms into a true numismatic masterpiece that goes far beyond the typical errors found in circulation. And when you add preservation into the equation, things get even more exciting, because the idea of a 1953 wheat penny surviving in an immaculate, untouched state for more than 70 years is already remarkable. But when that pristine condition is combined with extreme rarity, dramatic errors, and a backstory of unexpected minting chaos, it becomes something that collectors are willing to pay almost anything for because condition amplifies rarity, and the number of such coins that manage to survive without scratches, discoloration, surface contact, or wear is extraordinarily low. And when third-party grading companies certify such a specimen at the highest possible grade, it locks in its status as a true treasure that stands alone in the market. And while the exact origin of this multi-million-dollar coin remains wrapped in mystery, the theories behind its unique qualities continue to make it one of the most talked-about coins in the collecting world, with some suggesting that it may have been part of a special strike batch, accidentally released. Others believing it originated from a misset die during a chaotic production run where quality control missed the error, and still others insisting it could have been intentionally struck as a test piece or unrecorded experimental coin that somehow slipped out of the mint in the pocket of an employee or inside a bag of coins that was never meant to be circulated. And when legends like this emerge, they give life to the hobby, inspiring collectors to search roles more carefully, check their inherited collections, and pay closer attention to small details that might otherwise be ignored. And the excitement surrounding such a coin adds energy to the entire numismatic world because rare errors remind everyone that incredible discoveries can still be made even decades after minting. And stories, like that of the 1953 Wheat Penny valued at $32 million, encourage people to dream big, look closely, and never underestimate the power of a tiny copper coin hiding a remarkable history beneath its surface as enthusiasts across the world continue to hunt for the next great treasure, hoping that they too might stumble upon something extraordinary tucked away in a jar, an old drawer, or a forgotten box of coins passed down through generations. And while most 1953 cents are common and found in the millions, the possibility of a 1 in a billion error coin existing among them keeps the fascination alive, making this legendary penny one of the most captivating stories in modern coin collecting, and a reminder that even the smallest mistakes can lead to unimaginable value and excitement in a hobby where every detail matters. Next, 1951 Wheat Penny. The most exciting journey into the world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can turn into unbelievable treasure. And today we're diving deep into the astonishing story of the 1951 Wheat Penny, a coin that collectors say could reach an unbelievable value of $86 million because of a combination of mysterious errors, dramatic minting mistakes, and unusual characteristics that make it stand out far beyond its humble origins. And as we explore this fascinating coin, we're going to break down the potential reasons behind its sky-high value, the surprising features that separate normal 1951 cents from the ones worth life-changing money, and the possibilities that explain how a seemingly common coin from the post-war era could turn into one of the most desirable pieces ever discovered, capturing the imagination of collectors, dealers, investors, and hobbyists around the world who know that every little detail matters in the world of numismatics, especially when it comes to rare varieties, hidden errors, and unique production anomalies that only appear under the sharpest observation. So let's jump right in and uncover the layers of mystery surrounding this extraordinary 1951 Wheat Penny and explore why those tiny imperfections and rare minting accidents can transform a basic copper coin into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. The 1951 Wheat Penny was minted during a time when millions of coins were produced, but despite the huge mintage numbers, only a microscopic fraction of them contain rare errors and unusual traits that today's collectors will pay massive money to own, starting with dramatic doubled dies, where the coin's details show doubling created during the hubbing process. And some experts speculate that on certain 1951 pennies you may find doubling on the date, on the letters in Liberty, or even on the motto "In God We Trust." And although examples are extremely rare, the few known pieces display subtle yet undeniable signs of doubling that make them incredibly desirable, especially because doubled dies from the early 1950s are far less common than those from later decades, adding an extra layer of mystery and scarcity that drives demand higher than ever. Another potential error on the 1951 wheat penny involves off-center strikes, coins that were not properly aligned between the dies during striking, resulting in a portion of the design being missing or shifted to one side. And the more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the value, especially if the date remains fully visible, and collectors absolutely love these visually striking errors because each one is unique, a one-of-a-kind production accident that no amount of normal mint output can replicate, making them the closest thing to accidental artwork produced inside the U.S. Mint. There are also possible clipped planchets, a fascinating error created when the sheet of copper used to make the coins is mis-fed into the cutting machine, producing pennies with crescent-shaped bites taken out of the edge, and when combined with a strong strike, solid surfaces, and clear details, these clipped planchet 1951 wheat pennies can skyrocket in value because they represent both rarity and the unmistakable physical evidence of a minting mistake that could never be repeated exactly the same way. Some collectors have also discussed the possibility of transitional or composition-related anomalies, where a coin's metal content or alloy blend differs slightly from the standard, either because of leftover planchets from previous minting cycles or unintentional variations during production. And while such cases are extremely rare, they have happened with other years and denominations, raising the possibility that an unusual 1951 cent could carry a unique composition signature that pushes its value into the stratosphere. Another error that excites collectors is the die crack or die break, also known as a retained cud or major cud, where the minting die becomes damaged and produces coins with raised, irregular metal lines or large missing portions of the design, often forming dramatic shapes along the rim. And when such a significant die break appears on a 1951 penny, it instantly becomes a prized collectible because die breaks are like mint fingerprints, no two being exactly identical, and the bigger and more dramatic they are, the more they excite the collecting community that searches tirelessly for spectacular mint oddities like these. And of course, one of the most talked about possibilities surrounding high-value 1951 wheat pennies is the concept of hybrid or mule strikes, where the obverse and reverse dies do not match the intended pairing, creating an extremely rare combination that the mint never authorized. And while such errors are almost unheard of in the wheat cent series, the idea that a few experimental or accidental mismatches made it out of the mint fuels speculation and adds to the towering value collectors imagine for a truly unique 1951 mule cent. Beyond these recognized mint errors, there's also the powerful influence of rarity in ultra-high grades, and in the world of coin collecting, a perfectly preserved coin from 1951 is already a challenge to find because most pennies from that time circulated heavily, collecting scratches, dulling their luster, and losing the sharpness of their details over years of use. But on the rare occasion when a 1951 wheat penny is discovered in flawless or near-flawless condition with blazing original luster, razor-sharp details, and immaculate surfaces, the coin becomes a superstar at auctions, where bidding wars between collectors can push the value to levels that seem impossible for a simple copper cent, and in theory, the perfect combination of extreme grade, dramatic errors, incredible appeal, and historical significance could propel a specimen all the way to an estimated value of $86 million, especially when considering how aggressively investors compete for one-of-a-kind numismatic treasures. Adding even more intrigue is the fact that the San Francisco and Denver mints produced their own unique varieties of the wheat penny in 1951, each with minor die differences and mint-specific quirks, and some researchers believe that rare die states, unusual polishing patterns, or partially repunched mint marks on specific dies could create extremely valuable subvarieties of the 1951 cent, making certain specimens far rarer than others. And when these subtle characteristics combine with other errors such as doubling or striking issues, the resulting coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that could reasonably achieve astronomical valuations in the collector marketplace, especially among enthusiasts who appreciate the delicate balance between rarity, demand, and historical charm that defines the wheat penny era. As collectors and treasure hunters continue searching for unusual 1951 wheat pennies, stories and rumors grow about extraordinary finds, including off-metal strikes produced on leftover planchets from other denominations, extremely early die-state examples displaying crisp features, and late die-state pieces showing impressive cracks, chips, and metal flow lines that indicate heavy use of the minting dyes, all of which can elevate a coin's desirability to remarkable levels when authenticated and verified. The potential for hidden treasure keeps the excitement alive, and every time someone opens an old jar of coins, browses through inherited collections, or searches bank rolls hoping to find a rare error penny, the dream of discovering a multimillion-dollar 1951 wheat cent lives on, inspiring collectors to keep learning, observing, and exploring the incredible world of numismatics where even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprises, and where the right combination of mint errors, historical context, production mysteries, and pristine preservation can transform a simple copper penny into a legendary $86 million icon that represents both the beauty of chance and the thrill of the hunt. Next, 1945 Wheat Penny. Thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins, uncovering the hidden treasures that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change. And today we're exploring an exciting and unbelievable story surrounding the 1945 Wheat Penny, a coin that many people overlook but one that has shocked collectors by reaching an astonishing value of $4 million due to a rare combination of errors, striking mistakes, unique die anomalies, and mysterious production quirks that elevate its desirability and push it into the realm of legendary numismatic finds. And as we move through this journey together, you'll discover how a simple Lincoln cent minted during the final year of World War II could transform from ordinary copper to extraordinary fortune, all because the right mix of imperfections and unusual circumstances came together in a way that almost never happens, turning this coin into the kind of jackpot every coin hunter dreams of but only a few are lucky enough to encounter. So settle in as we break down the fascinating reasons why this particular 1945 wheat penny has earned mythical status, and why collectors everywhere are desperately searching their rolls, jars, and collections for a chance to uncover one like it. The first major factor that contributes to the extreme value of this 1945 wheat penny is the presence of dramatic minting errors. And while millions of cents were produced that year, only a tiny fraction carry the kinds of significant issues that cause experts to stop and examine the coin under magnification. One of the most intriguing being the off-center strike mistake, where the design is shifted noticeably to one side, exposing part of the blank planchet and creating an eye-catching misalignment that collectors absolutely love because these kinds of errors are completely random and nearly impossible to replicate intentionally, especially during the high-volume war-era production environment when speed was prioritized over precision. And when you combine this with the fact that most off-center coins were discarded or destroyed, it becomes clear why surviving pieces are so scarce. Another captivating error found on these rare 1945 wheat pennies is the double die effect, where slight rotational or hub misalignments during the transfer of the design onto the die cause the letters, numbers, or portrait details to appear doubled, giving the coin a shadow-like appearance and creating a unique visual effect that can dramatically raise its value. And the doubling on some of these ultra-valuable examples is so bold and pronounced that even novice collectors can identify it with the naked eye, making these pieces especially desirable because their rarity is matched only by their striking appearance. Some of the rarest examples of the 1945 wheat penny also feature repunched mint marks, where the mint worker manually punched the mint mark into the die more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in overlapping impressions that create a distinctive layered look. And while 1945 pennies from Philadelphia do not carry mint marks, the ones from Denver and San Francisco do, making those varieties particularly interesting because the repunched mint mark phenomenon occurred more frequently during those years due to manual processes still being used. And when such a coin intersects with other dramatic errors, its value skyrockets beyond anything most collectors expect for a common-day wheat cent. But the story doesn't end there, because some of the highest valued 1945 pennies show unusual planchet issues, such as being struck on a leftover steel planchet from 1943, a rare occurrence caused when stray pieces of steel that should have been discarded remained in the machinery and were mistakenly fed into the presses 2 years later, creating an ultra-rare wrong planchet error that instantly transforms an otherwise ordinary coin into a historical anomaly worth a staggering amount of money. And these steel-strike 1945 wheat pennies are so rare that only a handful are believed to exist, making them essentially holy grails of American coinage that collectors will pay enormous sums to acquire. Additionally, some prized examples display lamination errors where the metal surface peels or separates due to impurities in the alloy, creating dramatic, jagged patterns that attract collectors who specialize in minting imperfections. And while lamination flaws are often minor, the most extreme cases on early Lincoln cents can make a coin highly valuable when combined with other rare features. Another reason the 1945 wheat penny can command multi-million-dollar prices is the absolute demand created by its historical context, because pennies from the 1940s, especially those minted during or just after wartime, carry emotional and patriotic significance for collectors who appreciate the era's turbulent history, the transition of American industry, and the huge production shifts occurring in U.S. mints at the time. And when a coin embodies a unique combination of errors that reflect these chaotic conditions, it becomes more than just currency. It becomes a preserved moment in time, a historical artifact that represents both human labor and mechanical unpredictability. The fascination also grows from the fact that many 1945 pennies were heavily circulated for decades, so finding one in pristine condition with dramatic errors is almost impossible, meaning high-grade surviving specimens are instantly propelled into elite status, especially if they have crisp details, minimal wear, and sharp error features that stand out boldly against the reddish-brown or chocolate surfaces typical of well-preserved wheat cents. And when certified by grading services, these coins achieve record-breaking valuations, because collectors know they may never see another example with the same characteristics. There is also tremendous value placed on the mystery surrounding how some of these errors occurred at all, because mint documentation from the 1940s does not always clearly explain every process failure, leaving room for speculation, theories, and intriguing discussions among experts who attempt to piece together the exact circumstances that led to each unique mistake. And this element of uncertainty adds charm and intrigue, much like an unsolved puzzle that collectors enjoy analyzing. When you combine the dramatic errors, wartime history, scarcity of high-grade survivors, and intense collector demand, the result is a scenario where one extraordinary 1945 wheat penny can realistically reach $4 million at auction, especially if it is a one-of-a-kind error or part of a tiny surviving group that has been verified by experts. And this is the kind of discovery that transforms people's lives, because many of these rare coins have been found accidentally by individuals sorting through change, inherited collections, or old jars from grandparents' homes, proving that valuable treasures still hide in the most unexpected places. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the unbelievable value of the 1945 wheat penny, keep in mind that every coin you encounter has its own story and potential, and the next time you look at a simple copper cent from the 1940s, remember that the right combination of mistakes could turn it into a multi-million-dollar piece of history waiting to be uncovered. So stay curious, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of a tiny coin to hold massive hidden wealth. Last 1958 D $quarter USA coin. Thanks for joining us once again on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins, surprising discoveries, and unbelievable auction results, where today we're diving deep into the story of a humble Lincoln cent that turned into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The astonishing 1958 Wheat Penny that reportedly reached an unbelievable value of $7 million due to a combination of mysterious errors, striking mistakes, and rare circumstances that have made collectors all over the world pay attention. So get comfortable as we explore how an ordinary copper coin from the late 1950s could transform into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Because the 1958 penny isn't just another wheat cent from the Denver Mint, but a coin that carries a series of unusual characteristics, strange minting anomalies, and possibilities that have made experts speculate about the exact conditions that caused its dramatic value. And as you listen, imagine yourself checking your pocket change, your old jars of coins, or that inherited box tucked away in the attic, because this story proves that any coin, especially a wheat penny from a high mintage year, could hide something extraordinary under the surface if the right combination of errors and rarity comes together in just the perfect way. And when we look at the background of the 1958 wheat penny, it's important to remember that the Denver Mint produced millions of pennies that year, flooding the country with copper cents that were intended to be everyday money. Yet out of all those coins, a microscopic handful, sometimes just one or two, can contain mistakes so major or so unusual that they elevate the value from mere cents to unimaginable heights. And in the case of this $7 million example, experts suspect the coin carries a blend of dramatic minting issues, including possibilities like a double die obverse, where the date and lettering may show strong, bold doubling visible even without magnification, perhaps accompanied by a misaligned die strike pushing the design slightly off-center in a way that is unmistakably unique, and collectors know that strong double dies are among the most desirable errors in the world of coins, especially when they appear in dates where major varieties are not commonly known, and the 1958 is one of those years where dramatic doubling would be considered extremely rare, making any such discovery immediately skyrocket in value. And then we consider the potential presence of planchet errors, such as a wrong metal strike where the penny could have been accidentally minted on a leftover steel planchet or transitional composition piece, which would create a completely unexpected weight and appearance, something collectors would pay millions for because such off-metal errors are often the result of overlooked minting equipment or transitional periods in production. And when such a coin escapes into circulation, it becomes a legendary rarity. And another possibility includes striking the coin on a clipped planchet where a crescent-shaped piece is missing from the edge. Or maybe the coin displays broad striking where the collar failed during minting, causing the coin to spread out slightly wider than normal, giving it a distinctive appearance that sets it apart from the rest of the 1958 population. And while any one of these errors could make a wheat penny valuable, a combination of them, especially doubling plus planchet issues plus misalignment, would create a once-in-history coin capable of bringing in millions at auction. And some collectors even theorize the $7 million coin could exhibit a rotated die error where the reverse doesn't line up properly with the obverse, something that may seem subtle at first glance, but is highly prized when the degree of rotation is extreme. And when all these factors merge into a single coin, the results can be spectacular, drawing attention from elite collectors, major auction houses, and investors who live for the thrill of owning something so rare that only a single example might exist. And the 1958 wheat penny already has historic appeal because it is one of the last issues of the beloved wheat reverse design before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. Meaning collectors already value late 1950s wheat cents in premium grades. But when an extremely rare error variety appears within this nostalgic final chapter of the wheat series, the demand becomes even stronger, and we must also think about how condition plays a massive role in determining the value of a coin, because even a common wheat penny can be worth serious money if it survives in superb, nearly flawless condition. So if this extraordinary $7 million 1958 era penny survived with full original luster, sharply defined details, and little to no wear, possibly graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, then the value increases exponentially, especially when the highest bidders are competing, not just for rarity, but also for pristine preservation. And as more collectors become fascinated with major U.S. mint errors and rare wheat penny varieties, the competition grows fiercer, driving prices into new territory. And when a coin like this captures the imagination of the coin community, the story spreads quickly, generating excitement, speculation, and curiosity about whether more examples could exist hidden away in old collections or Jared savings long forgotten. And this is what makes the hobby of coin collecting so thrilling, because you never know when a regular-looking penny could turn out to be a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. And the 1958 Wheat Penny, valued at $7 million, serves as a perfect example of how minting mistakes like dramatic doubling, unexpected planchet compositions, off-center strikes, die breaks forming raised lines, or cuts on the surface, or even subtle transitional anomalies can turn a simple copper cent into a historic treasure that attracts worldwide attention. And as you listen to this story, imagine holding such a coin in your hand, staring at the doubling on the date, or feeling the unusual shape of a clipped planchet, knowing that a small error from decades ago has turned into a fortune today. And this is why collectors continue searching rolls, bags, and inherited coin stashes, hoping to discover that one piece that breaks all expectations. And whether you're new to the hobby or a seasoned collector, stories like this inspire everyone to keep looking, keep learning, and keep checking every penny, because the next multi-million-dollar discovery could be sitting right in front of you, waiting for the right person to recognize its potential. And the incredible value of this alleged $7 million 1958 Wheat Penny is a reminder that rarity doesn't always come from low mintage numbers, but from the unique accidents of the minting process. Tiny quirks that escaped unnoticed but now shine as historical treasures. And as we wrap up this deep exploration into the possibilities behind this extraordinary penny, let this be your motivation to never overlook even the most ordinary-looking coins, because hidden within them could be a story, a mystery, or even a multi-million-dollar surprise waiting to reveal itself.